Good evening. My name is Heather Adams, and I am a Programs and Services Manager at the Alabama-Mississippi chapter of the National MS Society. And tonight we're going to be having our Nutrition and MS teleconference with our special guest, April Towery. April is a 1999 graduate of Auburn University with a Bachelor of Science in Nutrition and Food Science. She's a 2001 graduate of the University of Alabama at Birmingham with a Master of Science in Clinical Nutrition. She's currently employed at St. Vincent's Hospital, which is in Birmingham, as a PRN instructor with the Wellness Services Department, where she serves as a weight management consultant and dietitian. And I'm going to turn this over to April and let her talk to y'all for a little bit. And at the end of it, there'll be a question and answer session, so anything that pops up in your mind, you can ask April about. So I'm going to turn this over to her now. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you, Heather. As she said, my name is April Towery, and I'm a dietitian here in Birmingham. And I'll probably be talking for about 20 to 30 minutes, and then we'll just feel free to ask any questions afterwards, and I'll do my best to answer you. So if you think of a question along the way, you might just want to write it down or make a little point so that you'll remember your questions. But I really wanted to talk tonight about pretty much just two main discussion topics regarding nutrition and MS. One of those being the National MS Society recommendations, and then I also wanted to spend some time talking about osteoporosis, just because of its prevalence in the MS population. So those are going to be our two main discussion points tonight. To begin with, we're going to start talking about the National MS Society recommendations. And basically, what they recommend is a low-fat, high-fiber diet, which basically means a general, heart-healthy, low-fat diet that we all read about and know about, I'm sure. And one thing I wanted to mention in the beginning, that on the internet and on the computer, you can pretty much find anything nowadays, and most of the special diets that are correlated and about MS and nutrition are actually not very well documented. So there can be some claims that some really weird diets, weird supplements, weird herbal remedies might improve your symptoms or might, hurt your symptoms or make them worse. So before you begin anything nutrition-wise or any supplements, make sure that you talk to your physician before. I just want to state that up front, because most of the special diets that are on the internet are really just not very well documented, so there's not a lot of research backing up their overall success rate. There are a few things, however, that are true out there, and those are really what I want to talk about, and this is what the National MS Society focuses on the most. Back to the low-fat diet. There is some research that shows that a high-fat diet, or a diet high in saturated fat, can actually make your MS symptoms worse. And by saturated fat, what I mean is that's the type of fat that actually clogs your arteries, that can lead to, a heart attack or a stroke. It increases your cholesterol. Saturated fat is always going to be on the food label. So that is something that you can find on every box of food, on any package of food. You can find out how much saturated fat is in a product. Some examples of foods that are high in saturated fats would be like your candy bars, a lot of your processed foods like Little Debbie's, Hostess, donuts, sweets, and also red meat, especially like steak, your higher fat meats, some of your roasts. All of those are going to be high in saturated fat. Those are the types of foods that you want to try to either limit or reduce in your diet to try to keep your MS symptoms in remission or feeling the best that you can. So that has a lot of documentation, is trying to go for a low-fat diet with low-fat cheese, low-fat dairy, low-fat animal products like chicken, fish, turkey, making sure that you grill and bake instead of frying your foods. That's going to reduce the amount of saturated fat in your diet as well. The other special diets that I wanted to talk about involve omega-3 fatty acids and omega-6 fatty acids. Diets high in these fatty acids have actually been shown to improve MS symptoms. I want to break it down for you and first talk about omega-3 fatty acids. Those are primarily found in fish, fatty fish like salmon, mackerel, swordfish. It's going to be in your fish oils, and that's why you want the fatty fish. It's a fatty acid, so you're going to want to look for a fatty fish like I mentioned before, like the salmon, the mackerel, the swordfish. Flax seeds, if anyone is familiar with them, they are very high in omega-3 fatty acids. And flax seeds, they're very easy to use, very easy to incorporate in your diet. You want to make sure that you buy them ground, or else you grind them yourself. A lot of times stores will sell them whole, but they're only going to be beneficial if they're ground. So make sure that if you buy some flaxseed, either you buy it ground or you grind it yourself in a coffee grinder. You want to keep it in an airtight container and always keep it in the refrigerator. That's what's going to preserve it the longest. It has a little bit of a nutty flavor to it. So you can use 1 to 2 tablespoons a day of ground flaxseed, and you can sprinkle it on your cereal. You can put it in oatmeal. You can put it on a salad. You can stir it in yogurt. Those are just a few ways that you can use ground flaxseed. There's a lot of cereals out there actually that contain flaxseed. Some of the Kashi brands have started using flaxseed, and it's just a really heart-healthy fatty acid. It's also been shown to lower triglycerides in individuals and improve their overall heart health, reduce the risk for stroke, and improve their cholesterol. So that's the omega-3 fatty acids. Those are primarily going to be, like I said, in your fish oils and in your flaxseed. You might be aware that there are some fish oil supplements on the market that say they contain omega-3 and omega-6 fatty acids. Those do work well. They do. A lot of people claim that you sort of have a fishy taste after you eat them, since primarily that's where the majority of your omega-3 fatty acids are in your fish oils. So if you're interested in any of the fish oil supplementation, make sure you talk to your physician and get the recommended amount from them. But it is effective, and there are studies that show that they improve your overall MS symptoms. Then the other fatty acid that I mentioned previously was the omega-6 fatty acid. It kind of complements the omega-3 in improving your MS symptoms. And your omega-6 fatty acids are primarily found in safflower and sunflower oil. So some of your kernel oils contain a good source of omega-6 fatty acids. All of your olive oil, your canola oil, a lot of your nut oils, peanut oil, will be good sources of these fatty acids as well. So keep that in mind when you're looking at the internet and when you're reading books and when you're doing research. If it sounds outlandish, then it probably is. The National MS Society really recommends a heart-healthy, low-fat, high-fiber diet. There is good research showing that a diet high in omega-3 and omega-6 fatty acids, there is some symptom improvement. And then there's also some research, again, that a diet high in saturated fat can actually worsen your symptoms. I want to spend just a couple minutes on fiber, because the MS Society really recommends a high-fiber diet. There's 2 different types of fiber. And again, fiber is always going to be found on your food label. So it's something that you can always find, and it's in bold. The 2 types of fiber are soluble fiber and insoluble fiber. The soluble fiber is actually what's touted the most for lowering cholesterol. It's the one that they kind of sing the praises in the oatmeal commercials and say that